Namaste. Welcome to Yin and Restorative Yoga with some gentle movement to start. My name is Michelle Chua, and for this practice, you'll want to have quite a few props, such as 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster, a blanket, and any additional props that you think you might find helpful to be more comfortable in the held postures. So I invite you to use any of your props to elevate your pelvis on. Find a comfortable way to sit, whether that's hero's pose with the knees in front and the toes pointed back, or Sukhasana, which means easy pose, some version of sitting cross-legged that allows you to sit tall and feel grounded. And take a moment to mentally arrive in your physical yoga practice. I'd like to review what author and mindfulness teacher John Kabat-Zinn identifies as the 9 attitudes of mindfulness. If you might remember that mindfulness, according to how he's defined it, means paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judging for the sake of insight, self-awareness, and just simply to be present. And so one of those attitudes is called non-judging. I'm going to read from one of his writings here. Mindful attitude non-judging is cultivated by assuming the stance of an impartial witness to your own experience. To do this requires that you become aware of the constant stream of judging, the reacting to inner and outer experiences that we are all normally caught up in, and learn to step back from it. When we begin practicing paying attention to the activity of our own mind, it is common to discover and to be surprised by the fact that we are constantly generating judgments about our experience. Almost everything we see is labeled and categorized by the mind. We react to everything we experience in terms of what we think its value is to us. Some things, people, and events are judged as good because they make us feel good for some reason. Others are equally quickly condemned as bad because they make us feel bad. The rest is categorized as neutral because we don't think it has much relevance. Neutral things, people, and events are almost completely tuned out of our consciousness. We usually find them the most boring to give attention to. Categorizing and the mindful attitude of non-judging, this habit of categorizing and judging our experience, locks us into mechanical reactions we are not even aware of, and that often has no objective basis at all. These judgments tend to dominate our minds, thus making it difficult for us ever to find any peace within ourselves. It's as if the mind were a yo-yo going up and down on the string of our own judging thoughts all day long. If you doubt the description of your mind, this description of your mind, just observe how much you are preoccupied with liking and disliking. Do it for a 10-minute period as you go about your business. If we're to find a more effective way of handling the stress in our lives, the first thing we will need to do is to be aware of these automatic judgments that we can see through our own prejudices and fears and liberate ourselves from their tyranny. Practicing the mindful attitude of non-judging. I'm just going to read a couple more paragraphs here. When practicing the attitude of non-judging, it is important to recognize this judging quality of mind when it appears, and to intentionally assume the stance of an impartial witness, and reminding yourself to just observe it. When you find the mind judging, you don't have to stop it from doing that. All that is required is to be aware of it happening. No need to judge the judging and make matters even more complicated for yourself. By practicing the mindful attitude of non-judging, you may notice less stress in your life. As an example, let's say you are practicing watching your breathing. At a certain point, you may find your mind saying something like, "This is boring," or "This isn't working," or "I can't do this." These are judgments. When judging comes up in your mind, it is very important to recognize them as judgmental thinking. Then remind yourself that the practice involves suspending judgment and just watching whatever comes up. This includes your own judging thoughts without pursuing them or acting on them in any way. Then return to practicing the mindful attitude of non-judging and watching your breathing. Let's start with that. Bring your attention to your physical body and any sensations you're feeling. Practice observing these sensations and even observing if the judgment mind starts to speak. And practice taking a step back and being an impartial witness to both the sensations and the judgment mind if it starts to speak. Let's observe the breathing without any need to control or change the breath. Let's observe your state of mind. Can you identify a quality of your state of mind without labeling it as good or bad, positive or negative? Qualities such as active, calm, focused, restless. And notice any emotions that you're experiencing right now. In this process of withholding judgment, we're just being with whatever is happening in the present moment, being awake in our experience. Let's start to deepen the breath, filling up the lungs and the belly, maybe sighing audibly through the mouth. A little bit slower the next round. Feel the process of the inhalation expanding in your torso. Feel the length of the exhalation as you arrive at emptied breath. And then I invite you to a moment of gratitude for anything that you can offer gratitude for as we begin this practice. And then clarify an intention for what you want to cultivate, strengthen, give your focus and energy. Remember those around us and how our practice and our presence can affect them. I invite you to choose someone or something to dedicate your practice to. And together, let's join our voices in support of each other, chanting the sacred sound, Om, 3 times. Let's begin practicing Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breathing, meant to help calm and focus our mind, bodies, and balance our energy. So it's done by closing your lips and softly constricting the back of your throat, listening to a whispering sound as you regulate your breath to lengthen just as slowly in and out, taking your time. Let's try a few rounds together. So listen for that whispering sound, inviting a smooth quality to it, and empty this next breath. Then inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep it going at your own pace, keeping the breath even and slow. And let's start to rise gently up to stand, separating your feet a little wider than hips distance apart, and seeing that your feet are parallel to each other. So physically, we're going to open up the neck, shoulders, and lower back quite a bit today in our asana practice. And so with your knees very bent, very, very, very bent, bring your hands to your hips and elongate your spine. Draw the shoulders away from the neck. Slightly engage the abdomen. Imagine you're trying to create a flat back as you slowly hinge forward from the hips. If there's a resistance in the back of the body, there's tightness, and your back might tend to round, bend the knees even more. Or if you have a chair or a table, you can place that in front of you and hold on to it. Or you can hold on to your thighs or shins. As much as you can, relax your neck and take a moment here, if you're not holding on to anything, with knees very bent, to tilt your weight as far forward as you can balance, and hold opposite elbows with your hands. Start to sway your spine, breathing in, breathing out like a gentle pendulum, just loosening up the back, especially the lower back. Knees are very bent here to support and stabilize your balance and support your back. And then as you come to center, switch the cross of the arms and shake your head no a few times. Stay aware of your breathing, nod your head yes a few times. Really loosen up the neck with movements here. Now place your thumbs at the occipital ridge at the bottom of your skull where it connects to your neck. And then interlace your fingers behind your head and just let your elbows hug your ears. As you bend the knees, use your thumbs to gently pull downward, releasing the back of the neck. Deep inhale, you might continue swaying the spine. You might gently shake and nod the head. Let's flutter the lips a few times. Helping to relax the jaw can help to release tension in the neck. So take a deep breath in, flutter the lips, any sound. A few more times. If you need to sigh out, make any sound that feels releasing to you. And then bend your knees a lot more. Release the arms, relax the neck. And as you breathe in, start to roll your spine slowly upright as if you're stacking one vertebra at a time. Let's move into some half sun salutations to warm up a bit before we get into some held postures for prolonged periods of time. So separate your feet about hips distance. Parallel the feet here. And as you breathe in, sweep your arms forward, roll your shoulders back and down, look up. As you breathe out, feel free to bend the knees so that you can fold with a flat back, lowering your fingertips either on your legs, to blocks, or the ground itself. Inhale, press down with your hands and stretch your spine forward, gliding the shoulders back. Exhale, drop your head and fold. Firm down to your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and slowly rise to stand, rolling the shoulders again back and down, look up. Exhale, join your hands in prayer from your crown to your heart center. Let's try 2 more cycles of Ardha Surya Namaskar, saluting the sun with gratitude for the energy that it brings to awaken life on this planet, including ourselves. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Press with your hands and inhale, lengthen your spine forward, shoulders back. Exhale, drop your head and fold. Press through the feet. Inhale, root down to rise up. Follow the pace of your breath. Exhale, trace your palms in prayer down in front of your heart center. Once more, inhale, sweep the arms in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Press with the hands. Inhale, lengthen forward in Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Press through the feet. Inhale, sweep the arms to rise all the way up. This time, bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape, and then peel the shoulder blades down your back. Stand tall, seal the belly in, and then roll the shoulder heads behind you. Right under the shoulder blades can create a bend in the back to tilt your chest up, gazing up for a couple breaths. Just a gentle back bend here. Inhale the arms overhead, and then exhale, trace your palms in prayer down your center line. All right, let's bring some movement into the pelvic region. Grab your 2 blocks and place their tallest height outside of your heels, stepping the left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge. We'll move into a gentle flow. Tuck the back toes. Inhale, let your pelvis sink. Relax the shoulders, look up. Keep your feet where they are. Exhale, lift the left knee. Draw your right outer hip back as you straighten your legs to what's comfortable. Bow as if you have a flat back. Pyramid pose. Let's keep going. 4 more cycles. Inhale, lower the back knee. Kneeling lunge, look up. Exhale, lift it. Draw the right hip back and fold, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Last one. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Come down to a kneeling lunge and step your right knee behind you. Step your left foot forward. Separate your legs, your hips distance apart, stacking the front knee right above the heel. Tuck your back toes and inhale, sink your hips and look up, relaxing the shoulders down. Exhale, lift the right knee. Draw your left outer hip back towards straightening your legs to what's comfortable and bow as if you have a flat back. Inhale, kneeling lunge, look up. Exhale, pyramid pose, bow in. 3 more cycles, inhale. Keep going, exhale. Focus on the breath, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This time, lower the back knee. Step the left knee behind you, and let's set the blocks aside. Place your hands flat on the floor, spreading the fingers wide. Stack your shoulders on top of your wrists, and step your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. Let's prepare for some cat-cows. As you breathe in, glide your chest forward, roll your shoulders behind you and down, looking up, cow pose. As you breathe out, lift the belly towards your spine, dropping your head round your back, cat pose. 4 more cycles. Inhale, coil your chest up. Exhale, lift the belly in and dome your back. Keep going, follow your own breathing pace. And then relax to a neutral spine. Let's step the feet in front and come to sit at the center of your mat, bending your knees. We're going to continue a few last movements before we hold still. So take your block by the skinniest width, firm it between your knees and thighs. Separate your feet as wide apart as your knees and parallel your feet to each other. Then lower down onto your back and bring your arms down by your sides close to your rib cage. Slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips. Let's prepare to move the pelvis slowly up then down while hugging the block. And when you lift your pelvis up, keep your feet still, actively press down to the 4 corners of each foot, but imagine the feeling as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes when you lift the hips. While doing that, stretch the tailbone, fronts of the thighs actively forward, hugging the block. Okay, so let's ground the arms by your sides, ground the backs of the shoulders, tilt your chin slightly back, open your throat. Listen carefully, empty this breath. As you breathe in, keep your pelvis on the floor and tilt your tailbone up. And when you can't keep the pelvis on the floor anymore, tilting the tailbone up, then start to lift the hips and stretch the fronts of your thighs forward while imagining you're dragging the heels back. When you find the peak of the inhalation, then start to lower on the exhalation very slowly. Upper back comes down first, then the mid back. Imagine you're lowering 1 vertebra at a time, tailbone last. Let's do that at 4 more cycles, moving bridge. Keep the pelvis on the ground for as long as you can, and inhale, tilt your tailbone up to point at the block. And then when you can't keep the pelvis on the ground anymore, stretch the tailbone towards the block. Imagine the heels dragging towards the glutes. Find the peak of your inhalation, the peak of your bridge, and then with the exhalation, start to descend. Slow and controlled, conscious movements. All right, you're on your own. 3 more cycles. Pelvis stays on the floor. Tilt the tailbone up as you breathe in. Continue to the top of the breath, to the top of your bridge. Hugging the block. And then gently as you exhale, lower 1 vertebra at a time. Take your time, go slow. You've got 2 more cycles of moving Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. That tilting of the tailbone while keeping the pelvis on the floor for as long as possible before you lift the hips adds more support to the lower back, more lengthening. All right, when you finish your last round, rest the pelvis on the floor, just relax. Keep the block between your thighs. And give it maybe 3 deep breaths to just observe how your body feels. You might feel your glutes a bit warm, your hamstrings a bit warm. And let's prepare to lift into bridge. This time we'll slide the upper arms closer together under your back ribs and stay for your count of 5 to 10 Deep breaths. Remember to keep grounding the backs of your shoulders and keep tilting the chin slightly back. So you're broadening your collarbones, hugging the block between the thighs. So when you're ready, let's start the same way. Keep the pelvis on the floor for as long as you can. And as you breathe in, start to tilt your tailbone up towards the block. When you can't keep the pelvis on the ground anymore, then lead with the tailbone stretching towards the block to lift the hips. Walk your upper arms closer together underneath your back ribs. Keep your arms straight, so do not bend the elbows apart. If your hands happen to touch, you might interlace the fingers. If they don't touch, just keep your hands apart. Press the ground away with your outer upper arms. Tilt the chin slightly back. Keep your feet still and actively press down through the four corners of each foot. Stretching the tailbone forward towards the block, imagine the feeling of dragging your heels back towards your glutes. As the thighs remain parallel to each other, slightly spin your inner thighs towards the floor. When you finish counting your choice of 5 to 10 full breaths, really stretching the lungs, as this posture is very helpful for expanding the breath capacity. Then use a very slow exhalation to gently lower your spine to the ground. When you've lowered your pelvis, go ahead and put the block aside and set your feet apart on the floor, about mat width apart. So wider than hips distance, and separate your knees as wide apart as your feet. You might rest your hands on your belly or just open the arms so they're out of the way as we windshield wiper the legs. So keep the feet where they are. Inhale, drop both knees to the right so the legs don't touch each other. Exhale, both knees to the left. And just like that, keep going. Take it slow. Use the breath to guide the pace of your movement. Feel the sensations that are happening in your body while you're doing this. Practicing observing them without judging them. And if you do happen to judge, letting go of judging yourself for judging as well. Now, there are times, obviously, in which judging is an important skill to have, right? But in mindfulness practice, when our purpose is just to be present with our experience and to be more self-aware, that's where we're practicing intentionally, not judging. Let's go for a couple more cycles of breath. All right, the next time you drop your knees to the right, let's keep them there for about 10 breaths. And when you do drop the knees to the right, adjust your left leg as needed so that it stays the same shape, that sort of 90-degree angle, but your left knee is pointing down the midline of your mat. If you're not feeling much sensation happening along the left side of your pelvis from the front of the hip to the lower back, which is your psoas, then you might pick up your right foot and place it above your left knee to add some weight. Now you could also explore raising the arms overhead and holding opposite elbows and dropping the arms back, relaxing the shoulders away from your neck. Tune into how you're breathing. Notice if you're using the full length of each inhalation and exhalation. One more deep breath here. And then gently release the arms and release the legs. Set your feet again wider than hips distance apart on the ground, knees bent. Separate the knees as wide apart as the feet. Just pause. Let your body unwind from that posture as you observe it. Then keep your feet where they are and gently drop both knees to the left where they don't touch each other, or the legs don't touch each other. If needed, adjust your right leg so that your right knee is tracing the center line of your mat. And then observe any sensations around the right side of your pelvis, from the front of the hip to the lower back. There's plenty happening, stay right here. If there's not much happening, you might cross the left foot above your right knee. You might switch the cross of the arm on top overhead if you did that earlier. Let the breath in fully. Feel the sense of emptying every last bit of air from your lungs. Gently begin to release the arms and unwind the legs, coming back to center, stepping the feet apart, knees bent. Just rest here for a few breaths and observe your body. Then let's stretch the left leg forward and hug your right thigh or shin in towards your chest. Keep your head and shoulders on the ground, or you can put a pillow under your head if that helps to relax the neck. And each time you exhale, see if it's available without strain to hug your right thigh closer to the outer side of your right ribs. You might even start to wrap your forearms in front of that right knee or just beneath it if it's available. So we're stimulating digestion here with some compression in the right lower abdomen. You can also circle out your feet if you like, different directions. This posture is called Apanasana, or wind relieving pose. Now let's bend the left knee, step the left foot on the ground, turn out your right thigh at the hip, and create a figure four shape by crossing the right ankle on top of your left thigh. Make sure you're flexing your right foot, which is curling the right toes back towards your right shin to help engage the muscles around the right knee, so you're not laterally twisting the right knee at all or not very much as you're turning out from the right hip. Keep the left foot on the ground and shoulders on the ground. Use your right hand to gently press away the very top of your right thigh. And when I say top of the thigh, that's close to your hip bone, not close to your knee. So helping to splay the right thigh open, ground down through the back of your left hip at the same time. And let's stay here for a few deep breaths. Just noticing any shift of sensations, where they might be happening. Again, if your body is really experiencing a lot of sensations here, you might stay here. Maybe this is where it needs to be. If you're not feeling much happening, then you can lift the left foot in slowly, threading the right hand between the thighs. Use both hands to bring the left thigh or shin closer to you as you nudge the right thigh to continue splaying open. So you want to make sure this right knee is not pointing at your chest. It's pointing towards your right wall. If it starts to point at your chest, that might indicate you're bringing the leg too close. Then just take it a step back, lean back, continue to press the right hand to the top of the right thigh. Focus on the external rotation or the turnout of the right leg at the hip. Let's tune in for another 10 deep breaths. Now, in contrast, if your right calf is comfortably really close across your chest, and you can easily cradle the knee and the sole of the foot between the crooks of your elbows, then go ahead and hold your right leg like it's a baby and straighten your left leg flat on the floor. Again, only if this right knee is easily pointing towards the right wall, not towards your chest. Keep flexing your right foot. A few more, several more breaths. If you are in this cradling position, which can be called supine single pigeon pose, then bring the intention of drawing your right outer hip towards your inner left heel so that you're lengthening the right side of your torso, not shortening it. If you want to continue stretching the neck here, you can gently shake your head as your skull is resting on the ground, using the ground to create traction in the movement. You can also rest your head in one direction, like you're looking over one shoulder for several breaths. And then when we take the opposite leg into this posture, you can rest your head in the opposite direction for several breaths. One more deep breath in this posture. And let's slide both legs to the floor straight. Relax your feet. Maybe circle them out or point the toes in contrast to the flexing. You might stretch the arms overhead. Maybe circle out the hands as well. Let's take a lion's breath just once here. Simasana pranayama. Imagine you're breathing into your whole body, taking a full inhalation. Open your mouth and eyes wide, stick out your tongue and release any sound. Okay, let's bend both knees, step the feet on the ground, then turn out your left thigh from the hip while flexing your left foot. Cross the left ankle over your right thigh and just stay here. Use your left hand to gently press away the top of your inner left thigh as you ground the back of your right hip. Staying for a few breaths, observe the sensations in your body. Relax the shoulders down away from your neck. Are there many sensations happening? If so, stay here. If there's not much, then start to lift the right foot, thread the left hand between your thighs. With both hands, hold your right thigh or shin and begin to draw the right leg towards you, splaying the left thigh with the left arm and still flexing the left foot. Remember, you want your left knee to be pointing out to the left wall, not pointing towards your torso. So adjust how close to you bring the left leg. Stay here, back off, or go further towards supine single pigeon, only if it honestly is what your body needs. If you're going there, cradle the sole of your left foot and your left knee between the crooks of your elbows and straighten the right leg flat on the floor. In supine single pigeon, remember to draw your left outer hip forward towards your inner right heel. Let's focus again on the expansiveness of the breath. Check in that your jaw is relaxed here. Your neck and shoulders are relaxed. And you might take a moment to move the head to stretch the neck. Or if you were gazing over one shoulder on the first side of this hip opener, you might gaze over the opposite shoulder and stay there. Try to surrender your shoulder bones to the ground. One more deep breath. Release both legs straight on the floor. Stretch the arms overhead. And let's prepare for one more lion's breath. Gather in a full inhalation. Make any releasing sound as you open the mouth wide. Ha. Draw your bent knees together into your chest. Rock in different directions, massaging your back. Eventually find your way up to sit. And let's take a moment to sit tall and comfortably. You might prop your pelvis up on something. And we'll focus a bit more on the neck. So let's start to circle the head very gently. As you inhale, keep your head where it is. Then exhale, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Tuck the chin to the chest. Inhale the left ear to the left shoulder. Go slower if it's more comfortable for you. Look up. Keep going in this direction at your slow pace, breathing mindfully. And then switch direction. All right, let's come back to center. Roll your shoulders back and down. Wrap the right arm behind you. Raise the left arm up, sit tall, and then twist to your left side. Sorry, your right side. Right side. And then use your left hand to press into your legs or press the back of the hand against your right thigh. Sit up a little bit taller. Let your chin be parallel to the floor. So you're not looking up, you're not dropping the head. Chin parallel to the floor. Glide your chin towards the back of your throat. Feel your two sitting bones press down firmly, and then breathe up the spine in your mind's eye. Lift up through the back of your skull. Keep the shoulder bones relaxing down, the collarbones broadening. Look over your right shoulder, keeping the chin parallel to the floor. Couple breaths. Stay in the twist and look over your left shoulder. Couple of breaths. And release. If you're crossing your legs, you might switch the cross of the legs just to even out the stretch in your hips. Wrap the left arm behind your back, relaxing the shoulders back and down, and raise the right arm. Press your sitting bones down and lift up from the bottom of your spine like you're restacking each vertebra, breathing more space in between them, and then twist to your left. Next, lower the right hand. You might press the back of it against the left thigh or hold on to your lap. Now align your chin so that it's not tilted up or down, but it's parallel to the floor, and glide your chin softly towards the back of your neck. Then press your two sitting bones down. Imagine breathing up from the bottom of your spine. Lift through the back of the skull. Drop the shoulders, broaden the chest. Continue to twist. And let's look over the left shoulder a couple of breaths. Stay in the twist. Look over the right shoulder, a couple of breaths. And then release. Inhale the shoulders forward, float them up. Big exhale, roll them back and down. Couple more, maybe sigh as you breathe out. Inhale forward and up. Exhale back and down. Last one. All right, let's practice box breathing, Samavriti Pranayama, before we enter Shavasana for a few minutes. So you might place your hands in a grounding mudra by bringing the thumb and first fingers to touch, palms face down, as box breathing is a grounding technique that helps to relax your nervous system and bring clarity of mind. You can practice it when you're feeling triggered or stressed to calm yourself down. And you might close your eyes as we're practicing this technique. And it goes like this. We'll inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold the breath for 4 counts, but try to relax as you're holding. We'll exhale through the nose for 4 counts and hold the breath for 4 counts. That's 1 cycle. Let's practice 3 cycles together and then continue 3 cycles on your own. Prepare to begin. Just relax the shoulders, sit tall by inhaling deeply. Clear it out through your mouth. Close the mouth. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Second cycle. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Third cycle. Inhale, 4. Hold 4. Exhale, 4. Hold 4. One more, or 3 more, excuse me, on your own, please. And when you're ready, let go of controlling your breathing. Notice how you're feeling without judging it. As you continue to breathe naturally and stay present with your experience, please gently lower your body entirely to the floor using any props you might need for your comfort, such as a pillow across the mat under the backs of your knees for lower back support, or a strap on top of your eyes closed to help relax and ground and tune inward, or the weight of a folded blanket sitting on your belly and pelvis for grounding support. And allow yourself to settle into stillness. Sense that your body is no longer contracting or trying to do something. As your body becomes still and at rest, allow your mind to follow suit. without having to do anything. Just sense the way your physical body feels now. As you continue to breathe naturally, notice the qualities of the breath. How does your energy feel now? Observing the effects of your practice. Take your time to be very gentle, not to do any quick movements or large movements right away. Start with something really subtle to begin waking up your body, like rubbing your thumbs across your fingertips and just feeling the sensations in your hands. One by one, moving different parts and noticing how they feel. Eventually ease into a simple stretch. You might turn over onto your right side and pause for a few breaths. Taking your time when you're ready to lift your body slowly into a comfortable seat once again, preparing to sit for 5 minutes in meditation. So that practice of non-judging, that mindfulness practice, is very important when we're meditating. We're noticing whatever our attention is drawn to, whether it be a thought. We might even get involved in a story, a string of thoughts. But then once you notice that you're hooked in that way, you just drop it. You just let go. Liberate yourself from that attachment. And you don't have to judge yourself for having been attached. You don't have to judge anything that you're observing either. You don't have to judge the sound that you hear in the background or the feeling that comes up in your body. Just allow yourself to sort of take a step back like you're watching a movie and observe. Practice observing without judging. Let's begin. As a way to anchor your attention in the present moment, you might choose something to rest your awareness on, whether it be the natural flow of the breath in and out, or a sound that is happening consistently in your background, maybe the humming of a heater or a fan. So that when your attention feels more steady and absorbed in the present, you can let go of focusing on that object and open your awareness a little wider. And if you find yourself feeling hooked, become attached to something, and you need to come back to the present, you can come back to resting on that object you chose, that anchor, as your tool to realignment. Notice what you're noticing as an impartial witness to it. Also, an impartial witness to yourself. Notice your state of mind. Notice any emotions you're now experiencing. Does anything feel different since you started this practice? I invite you to a moment of gratitude, choosing what to offer gratitude for. Then remember your intention, what you decided to focus on and give your energy, and maybe continue to cultivate after this practice. In what ways can the mindfulness practice of non-judging play a role in opening up your experience in your daily life? How might you integrate this practice off the mat, so to say? See how it affects you. Remember to whom you dedicated today's practice. And let's close together, chanting 3 ohms. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you for your practice.